When it comes to finding hidden gems for super cheap, the dollar store is my go-to place. It's amazing what sorts of things you can pick up and use in your sewing space. In today's video, we are headed back to the dollar store to find more sewing hack items. An inexpensive solution to pattern making paper is wrapping paper, or if you're lucky enough to find some craft paper. I found the wrapping paper was 30 inches by 8 feet, but the craft paper was 15 feet, so you get almost twice as much from the craft paper. I use this to trace off any patterns that I need or to adjust my patterns, and it's really great. Just make sure that when you're working with your pattern paper or your gift wrapping paper that you check that it doesn't transfer onto your workspace with your magic marker. Head over to the office department and check out what kind of envelopes you have at your dollar store. At my dollar store, I had the smaller size, the larger size, and even the plastic. Now what I like to do with the smaller size is actually take my garment patterns and I cut the front and the back off, and then I just tape them onto the outside of the pattern. Put all of my pieces and my instructions in there, and then if I created any pattern pieces, now I'm not limited by the space of the original pattern envelope. I have lots more space. I like the smaller ones for regular garment patterns, but if I do a lot of alterations and I end up with lots of pattern pieces, I like the large ones. And if you're lucky enough to find some of these plastic zip top ones, these are fantastic for patterns and even including the materials inside the plastic envelope. I really like this one because there's a front section where I could actually put the pattern itself and then have all the materials and notions and anything I need inside. And hey, while you're in the office department, check out these plastic 3-ring binders. These are great with some page protectors to keep all of your printable PDF patterns that you get off the internet nice and organized. And even inside each page protector, you can keep all the templates and pattern pieces. Everything is all contained inside one page protector. Now, I also like to keep my patterns in here sometimes because then I'm able to later on go and flip through and see everything that I've got, maybe what projects I want to work on. And this is really ideal if you have a small sewing space because you're not committed to like a big tub to organize your patterns. Everything is contained in this one area. And with learning from home and doing online education for sewing, it's going to be essential that you have one of these little cell phone stands so that you can watch all of your sewing videos right next to your sewing machine. And does your foot pedal slide all over the place when you're trying to sew? Well, then get some shelf liner and cut a piece that's about 1 inch larger all the way around, and now you're going to find that it doesn't move at all. While you're at the dollar store, head over to the kitchen department and grab yourself a wooden spoon. This is probably my favorite find at the dollar store because it's going to help us press our seams perfectly. Anytime you create a seam, you always want to press it flat after you've sewn it so that it helps set the seam and make the thread become best friends with your fabric. So once you've pressed your seam flat, usually the instructions are going to call for you to press your seam open. And if you do that and fold it like this and try and get it open, sometimes it's a little tricky, and then you're going to run the risk of pressing on the side of the material where you don't want. So what we're going to do is simply take our wooden spoon handle and feed it through our seam, and then we're going to just open up our seam, and when you press it one time flat, because the wood is on the back side, it helps smooth it out really nice there. Then you're going to go back and you're going to press your seam flat over the wooden spoon. Now let's say that you have a tube that's even longer than your wooden spoon. Go ahead and do the same thing. Press your seam flat, feed the tube onto the wooden spoon, and then just gather it up into the taller portion of your spoon. And then what you can do is press it a little bit at a time. And by the time you've gotten further down on the spoon handle, anything that would have gotten a little wrinkled, you'll be pressing all those wrinkles out. The next is Goo Gone. This stuff is fantastic for all sorts of things in your home, but I find in the sewing room it's good for two things specifically. Just make sure that you put a little bit of the Goo Gone onto a paper towel and not just directly from the bottle. But the first one is going to be for a machine embroidery hoop. When you're working with embroidery hoops, sometimes you use a spray adhesive or a gummy substance, an adhesive stabilizer, and that adhesive can get onto your hoop. Goo Gone will get it off with no problem, and it will also kind of leave your hoop with that citrusy, fresh smell. And the other thing I found that's really good for Goo Gone is on your throat plate. Sometimes the gumminess from materials or stabilizers can also get on there. So just make sure you use the Goo Gone, but you're also going to wipe off any of the extra residue after you have put the Goo Gone on. And then you're going to have a nice smooth surface, and again, you're going to have that nice fresh citrusy smell. So now you're probably wondering, what are we gonna do with a dog leash and a dog collar from the dollar store? Well, I'm gonna tell you that the hardware alone and the materials are worth more than $1 each. For example, all you're gonna do, if you really don't want this ugly green, you would just simply cut it off, and now you have a really nice carabiner. And same goes with the dog collar hardware. For example, if you're wanting to make your own really nice leash, instead of having to spend a lot of money on a lobster claw, you've got one here that costs you $1. And then same goes for the hardware for making a dog harness or a dog collar. Instead of having to spend a lot of money on the actual hardware, that like I did, you're able to just use some from the dollar store, and you would just really carefully go ahead and get in there and cut everything out so that you have all the hardware separated. I think that the value for getting the dog collar is definitely a better value because you're getting the hook and you're getting the D-ring and you're also getting the slider. So that's definitely something to consider though. So when you're at the dollar store, go check out the different dog harnesses and the dog leashes and collars, because you'll be surprised at all the cool hardware you'll find for really affordable prices. Another thing I really like are these heavy-duty storage bags. They come in different sizes, but I really like the size large. It comes with a package of 3, and it's ideal for organizing projects or fabric, especially if you want to pre-wash your fabric and keep it all together in like a color collection, and then put it inside the bag. And then it's all ready for you when you're ready to work on your project, and it even has a handle to help keep it all organized. Head over to the health department and grab yourself one of the jumbo size pill containers. Now get the biggest one you can because it's going to hold all sorts of things. Now I like to use it to hold all of my presser feet and keep them nice and organized, but depending on how large it is, you can oftentimes keep a package of needles inside there too, and maybe a couple of them in each of the days of the week. The other thing is it's a really great place to keep all of your bobbins as well. And I like the idea of being able to keep things together when you're headed to a class. So if you need a special presser foot for the class, special needles, or bobbins, it's all contained in your pill container. That would be really great. You can just take this and throw it in the bag with all the materials for that class or for that special project. Be sure to check out my other dollar store videos and let me know in the comments below what items you get from the dollar store and which ones you use for sewing. And until I see you next time, I hope you have a creative day. Bye-bye.